And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wartburg and Fusion Entertainment Review. It's WAFER number 25. I'm your host, MrWartburg. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Fusion.
Greetings and salutations, everybody.
And since it's our one-year anniversary, not just some run-of-the-mill random episode, we had to get not one, but two guests for a fun evergreen topic where we're going to be discussing our top 5 favorite games of all time. Joining us first, we have someone whose food posts never fail to make me hungry. She's a community manager for Star Wars The Old Republic, and the biggest Del Taco fan I know. It's Jackie, aka GeekyFriedRice.
Hello, thank you for having me. You know what? Oh man, had I known that you were going to introduce me with Del Taco, I would have gotten my socks. I have Del Taco.
I did not know you had Del
socks. I'm
Taco
not even
socks.
kidding.
Had I known he was going to introduce you with Del Taco, I would have gotten Del Taco.
Don't treat me that way. That's messed up.
It's only a 5-hour drive. 5 hours.
Yeah, I think the nearest is OKC, right?
Yeah.
And last, but certainly not least, we've got someone who's a fantastic streamer. You've seen her show up in a number of Rooster Teeth and Kinda Funny related content, and is without a doubt maybe the biggest Estinian fan in the world. That'd be Chloe, aka EchoChlo.
Hello, hi. Love that intro.
Yep. I toyed with throwing in the star of coffee with Chloe, but I was like, that's like a little too niche. So ended up not doing that.
That's fair.
Yeah. So this is a live streamed recording. So if anyone's in chat, hello, thank you for joining us. And of course, as we go, anyone needs to raise and lower on Discord, let me know. I can adjust on the fly. And if you're watching or listening to this after the fact, head over to twitch.tv/MrWartburg so you can watch us record these episodes live. We tend to do them every 2 weeks, and you can check us out on Twitter for updates on when we're going to record, because sometimes it gets wonky for just when content comes out. So we got a couple things to talk about before our main show. Jackie had a story that like broke my brain like about an hour and a half ago, and I gotta hear her tell it.
It's actually just not all that interesting, but you do get to see me panic for a moment, and so I was just working in my other office, and someone rang my doorbell. I'm one of those people that never answers the door. I will go look through the people and everything like that, but if I'm not expecting you, if I'm not expecting a package, I'm not gonna open the door. But this woman was very persistent in her ringing the doorbell and knocking. It's like, okay. And then I heard a kid. I didn't hear him saying any words. It was just like a or something like that. I'm like, why is there a child outside of my door? And so I was like, okay, woman, child, open door. Maybe they were delivering something that was not belonged to me. And she's like, said the name of this child and was like pushing him towards me. And I'm like, no, this isn't mine. Oh my God, I just treated this child like a dog or something like that. I'm like, no, this mine doesn't belong to me. It's like, oh, no, not the mother. And I looked further beyond into the street, and there was a school bus. So she had come off of the school bus to escort this child to the door. And I was like, not mine. Sorry. Maybe that side? I was like, I guess this is a good way to meet my neighbors. I don't know.
There you go. Free kid. Yeah.
Like, hi, you're really cute, but you don't belong to me. I think you belong next door. And so I was like, okay, bye. Just shut the door. I felt so bad. But how is it that my first thought was, no, that's not mine? And this kid was probably 5-6 years old, something like that. He was very tiny and cute. So I felt kind of bad about that. So that was the end of my workday.
So did you afterward? Did you peep through the blinds and see what happened next? Watching him walk down.
No, because I was in the middle of doing something, and I was like, I had to go immediately back to that, and I was like, well, I didn't get a follow-up knock, so I'm assuming the kid made it home just fine.
Did you just tell your coworkers, BRB, someone's trying to give me a kid?
Yeah, that was just who said it? Warburg, was it you that you're like, what did the stork look like this time?
Oh no, that one was me. I think that might have been John.
But yeah, it was interesting. First time that has ever happened to me.
Interesting.
I would hope that's the first time.
Just freely giving out children.
Yeah, just Jackie's I was like, are we gonna have be entertaining a kid on this podcast?
Normal occurrence.
I can feed you and I got games. It's fine. You've come to the right household, if anything.
That's certainly true.
So
So other stuff,
Yeah.
Fusion's got an update. He's been talking about this, I think, a couple podcasts
Yeah.
now, and he finally got accepted to something. Which, as a fan of like, I'm gonna watch this. It's pretty cool. So what's going on with you, Fusion?
Yeah, I got really into role playing on big server games. I was jumping in and out of GTA Online, and I'm a big fan of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a great game. It's a great game. The online is not so much. Well, there's a group out there that basically they take a server, create their own, their own private server, and you go on and role play. And there were like a few thousand applicants, and I was one of the few that got accepted yesterday. So yeah, it was really, really excited because it's the old West, man. You get to be a cowboy. You get to throw in the old country accent, say y'all a lot, And what I planned on doing was because it's the old West, and so I don't dip, but you have to have chew in your mouth, right? So I'm going to take a Cliff Bar and shove it right here, and then I want to go. That's why I could sound like I have chew all the time.
Nice.
See? And it's going to be
Really
great.
Love that.
Immersive.
I'm going to rob a lot of
Yeah.
banks. I'm going to rob a lot of banks. I'm going to steal
Perfect.
some horses. It's going to be great.
Yeah, like
No,
their tool set's impressive. Like they were running like a cattle operation on their online server. It was like actually like moving and selling cattle and bartering and trading on the server. It was like that was like what my dad did with actual hogs in real life. It was crazy.
Well, the for GTA 5, there's a huge viewer base on Twitch for GTA 5, and the server is called No Pixel. If you ever want to go watch, it's great stuff because there's some really, really entertaining people out there. They just on ad lib role play, and it's good stuff. Like very entertaining. That's something I really got into the last couple of years, just because there's a guy out there, Mr. Moon, that does like his own video productions of role playing through like DayZ and Rust, and he got on GTA and Red Dead as well. But he's one of my favorites. But yeah, it's just I just kind of thinking, as geekdom for me as a kid, I played D&D, played a couple of other role playing games, and I figured might as well just jump in the video game realm and do some RPing for a little bit.
It should be a good time. I'm looking forward to checking it out, especially because you talked to me about like sound clips on a stream deck. So I'm excited to see what you're gonna work in on the tech side.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna drop some sound effects, just like my old radio days. Just drop some stuff here and there.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
And one last thing before we get into our main topic, because I was not expecting the PlayStation Showcase to like be so top of mind for me. The showcase completely blew my expectations out of the water. So show of hands who here watched or saw highlights from that.
For the audio version, I'll have my hand up.
Well,
I
yeah,
saw highlights.
that's fine.
I couldn't watch.
So, like,
Unfortunately.
Any since Chloe hasn't had much of an intro stuff here, anything stand out for you there in that PlayStation press conference?
The Uncharted remaster. You say Uncharted 4 and you got me all in for that.
Nice.
Love that game.
You might not want to hear that I have it unwrapped and I don't have it. It's still wrapped on my shelf. I haven't played it
Oh
yet.
no.
I bought it, never played it.
It's so good. And then what else? Spider-Man 2 with Venom in it.
Yeah, did not expect
That's pretty
Venom.
cool. Nope.
Yep, and then if it's Insomniac and they're doing Wolverine, I'm so in. It's gonna be amazing. And then you mean look at Fusion's poster behind him. You know he's in for a Wolverine game.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fantastic. The one like that was probably the best movie video game like adaptation they did was that X-Men Origins Wolverine game. That game was actually really good.
Yeah.
It was.
And you throw in
Very
today's
underrated.
tech, it's gonna be fantastic.
Well, what Insomniac did with Spider-Man, just the combat, I look forward to what they're gonna do with Wolverine. Yeah.
Did you make it?
No, I just got a sack back there. I'll throw it in later. Like
Did you make it?
Yeah, we just took recycling out, so I gotta open up a new bag. But so it's time, I think, to get into, because this is maybe gonna take a little bit, our top 5 favorite video game lists. Now, for those of you watching on stream or on YouTube or listening later, what we're gonna do is go through our list 5 through 1, but we're gonna change it up instead of do just a round table general. We're gonna kind of do it like a snake draft if you've ever done fantasy. So we're gonna do it in one way and then immediately reverse and do it the other way. And I'll manage that here on Discord so we can watch and see what's going. And those of you live, start tinkering with your own lists on this. The prompt is just your top 5 favorite games. What that could mean to you is entirely of your own, making. And we'll see what you got for lists at the end of the show. Because I'm pretty excited to see. We got a pretty wide range of people on the show. So I'm hoping we get some really divergent lists, which is one of the reasons I, asked both these people. So
I'm willing to bet that 3 of us are gonna cross over on the same one.
I'm
probably.
I'm willing to bet.
I'm looking at my list. I'm gonna say there's at least 2 games that are crossed over.
Okay.
For more
All right.
for
Curious
multiple
to
people.
see.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least 2.
So we'll start with one of our guests. Would either of you guys want to take the floor and go with your number 5?
Oh, go ahead.
Me? All right. I have Apex Legends as my number 5.
Nice. Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. I streamed a lot of that until my setup could no longer handle that. But favorite battle royale. I have a good time playing it with friends, and it's just I don't know. I like how it handles and everything too. Because there's like a bunch of like battle royales that I've tried. I never tried like Warzone or anything, but Apex I think will always have a special place in my heart, FPS wise.
Yeah, that's a great game. I play it a ton.
Yeah.
I'm almost up to level 100 now. Finally, kind of fell
Nice.
off this season, but yeah, like Fusion and I, we started our battle royales with PUBG when I was running Bottom Shelf Nerds, and that was my foray into that. And then Apex was just like, damn, this is amazing. Like it's the momentum's amazing, the gunplay's fantastic, so many awesome characters and powers. It's like the best of multiple different types of games put into a battle royale.
Now, Chloe, how
Exactly.
early in did you start playing? Did you play day 1?
I played day 1 and then I was like, I don't know, I don't have anyone to play
Okay.
this with. And then I really got in, I think season 4.
Okay. Yeah, because for me, I think Warburg and I, we were playing PUBG a lot with our little group quite a bit. And I think a couple of us tested it and it was like, it's not really where it should be,
Well,
like the first
to be
couple
fair, that's all Chris's fault.
Oh, okay. That
Just
is
gonna throw him under the
that's fair.
bus. He didn't
Yeah,
like it.
'cause he hated it. And so because of that, no one else wanted to play. So
Yeah.
we tried to get involved. And then after a few weeks, we finally jumped in without Chris. I know he's going to listen to this, Chris. Yes, without you. And we just we loved it after that. We're like, this great battle royal. Great,
Yeah.
I
And,
think that was at the time that we were fighting with Joey because Joey was playing a lot of Fortnite.
Yeah, he was huge on
Remember
the Fortnite train,
that?
like
And
a
we're just
fool.
like, yeah, that's not my cup. That's not my wheelhouse.
No.
Fortnite is not my
And
wheelhouse.
according to chat, they just want to give a shout out, and it's free.
And
And it's
Had
free.
to.
And
free.
it's free.
Yeah, that doesn't
Yes.
hurt. All right, we'll go to our other guest then next. Jackie, what do you got for number 5?
It's gonna sound incredibly biased in more ways than one once you get through my entire list, but I'll have to say Jade Empire is my number 5. It really I've always loved RPGs, but playing that and seeing everything, hearing everything, the environment, the world, the even the gestures of the characters and everything, it was so great seeing some characters that look like me in a video game, and I was very immersed with the story and everything. Immediately fell in love, and that's what made me fall in love with BioWare way back in the day. So that will always hold a special place in my heart. Certainly. I think I have it on every platform available.
Nice.
It was just one of those sure. It was my what everyone considers their Stardew Valley, I guess. It's yeah, I'll get it on this platform. It's totally fine. I'll buy it here. But yeah, that's Jade Empire. Is very special to me.
All right. And Fusion will go with you next, unless anyone has anything else to add there. Personally, I've never played Jade Empire. It's always been on I should probably try this out, but never got around to it.
Yeah, you should. It's a great game. All right, I'll go next.
Beautiful.
I guess I'll show my age here. My number 5 is GTA Vice City. I mean, Ray
That's
Liotta. Ray Liotta.
Exactly,
Ray
Ray
Liotta as
Liotta.
the lead. He's fucking great.
Wow.
Luis
Yeah,
Guzman plays a character that's just hilarious in the game. Yeah, okay. Here's the main thing. I love that game for one reason and one reason alone. If you guys know me, Jackie, Warburg, you know me. What would be the one thing I love the most about that game? If you really had to think about it.
The pigeons.
Close,
What?
but no. Come on,
It's so
guys,
that you
it's
can
based-
collect 100 pigeons in that, or is that
It's based in the
that might be 3.
80s.
That's
80s
true.
music, the music, it was great. The soundtrack, the radio stations, everything's 80s. Loved it. I
That
loved it,
makes a
you
lot
know?
of sense knowing your background as a radio guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I mean,
their public access stuff from that game, like there was like that public access channel. I can still hear that monologue stuff in my head. Like they get taken over by like a hostage taker. I can
Yep.
still hear that in my head all these years later. Great stuff.
they're doing a remake of it, like they're remastering it, so I can't wait to try that out. So yeah, number 5 for me, GTA Vice City.
Okay. Now my number 5 is I have my whole rationale here on my Excel sheet. Is Mass
Write a
Effect 2.
novel?
Oh, not a novel, more like a paragraph. The number 1's a little longer because it should be. There was a long stretch of gaming where I didn't get to play games. I grew up with a PlayStation, and then I got diagnosed with Crohn's, so money was like really tight. So I missed out on like a whole generation of games. And then Mass Effect 2, my sophomore roommate, I got to play his Xbox, and there was actually 2 of his games that are on this list. Blew my mind. I was like, man, games have come so far since one of the first games I played, which was like Crash Bandicoot 3 and Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And then, of course, I got super hooked into the sci-fi world of it because I'm a huge Trek fan. The characters were amazing, and I immediately went out and bought Mass Effect 1, the collector's edition, and just binged through all of that immediately. And then I got into the
So
show.
you started with 2.
Started with 2, and then went back and did Mass Effect 1. And I'm
Oh.
easily cleared 1,000 hours total playthrough, counting the Legendary Edition now. So it's maybe my favorite gaming franchise, except for one gaming world, which is maybe later in the episode. I love that game.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll reverse order, and it's just back to me again, doing my number 4. And that's the other game that my college roommate let me play. It was the first Xbox 360 game I ever played, and it's Fallout 3.
Nice.
One of the, got me into playing the New Vegas when that came out, and by the time then I had my own console, so I could get the game and own it, and I played all the DLCs. And it's the first game I ever 100%ed on, like, with an achievements type system. That first game I've ever done that is technically either Spyro 2 or Crash 3, but they really didn't track that, so it's just all in your save file. And like Liam Neeson being your dad was like my big hook for me. I was like, oh, I love Liam Neeson. He was awesome, and he was huge, because that was right when Taken came out, and I love the whole world, the whole like 1950s future sci-fi aesthetic it just immediately drew me in, and I have played that game like it's like my go-to game if I need to just play something and kill some time.
Nice.
Very
I will
nice.
say, like, if you go the PC version, you can mod the hell out of that game. I think
Yeah,
I
I can't
got
get
like
it to
at
run
least
because
2
it's a game for Windows game.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a pain in the
I think I
ass.
got like an additional 200 hours of game time from all the mods. Crazy.
What?
Wow.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Like people created like just hour-long dungeons. Like you would just go into like a building and have this whole dungeon that would take up like 3 or 4 hours.
Oh
It was
wow.
great. It was great.
All right, so Fusion,
Lord.
All
we're up
right.
to your number
next.
4.
Number 4. All right, we talked about Red Dead Redemption number 2 and how it's a great game. Number 4, one of my favorite games. Great story, great voice actor. Red Dead Redemption, man. God, it's just just the story itself was great, tragic, and then at the end, his story, John Marston, was very sad. But then you get the bonus where the son grows up and can seek revenge at the very end to kind of like tie everything together in that story. Yeah, and Red Dead Redemption 2 is a little weird because it's a bit of a prequel and Marston's in it and he's like not really a big character, which is weird, but I loved that. I loved that story. The gameplay was amazing. That was like I like GTA just because of the open world things you can do, not necessarily the violence of it, but just the story and how the music, of course, the aesthetics of the games. But then you take the old west and you just create this massive world. And what was crazy about it was you had the United States version of it, and then about halfway through the game, you open up Mexico. And it's like, holy shit, I just have like this whole massive world. You're riding on the horse, the music changes, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm riding, where am I going? And it just says, now you're in Mexico. And you look at the map, and now it's twice as big as it was, and you're just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I get 300 or 400 hours of game time in that bad boy. I just ran around and hunted forever. Loved that game.
Yeah.
Loved that game.
That ride into Mexico when it like makes you like press A to like run and the camera starts to like pan out from you on your horse. One of my favorite gaming moments ever.
Well, and the music changes. Like,
Yeah, because
goes
it starts getting like more like trumpets and like more
Well, you have the little
operatic a little
guitar.
bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's awesome.
is one like I didn't play one, but I did pay attention to two. Was there like a long ass epilogue? That was like basically half the time of the game itself.
Not quite.
Because oh my gosh,
No.
like the epilogue for two was like so long.
So
Yeah,
the
it's a whole
one
thing.
about the cinematics really are actually while you're game playing, the cinematic is like maybe just a couple of seconds, and a lot of the dialogue is while you're actually doing your missions. So it does, like the
I
story's
can't
moving.
multitask like that. Why are you doing that?
Trust me,
What?
I didn't think I could do it either, and I found myself just so into it. Like you're on this ranch, the McFarland Ranch, where this lady owns it. Like her family left it to her, and while you're doing missions, she's just telling you her story while she's riding right behind you on the horse, and you're over here, doing whatever you have to do for her farm, and it's like you just find yourself just pulled into it, just sucked into the story. Really,
Oh man.
Phenomenal
Interesting.
game. All right, Jackie, we're up to you.
Okay, so now because you said Mass Effect 2, I kind of feel
Oh.
like I want to change my answer
Oh,
because
don't-
my
don't
original
ch-
answer.
don't
Well,
change it.
Well, we'll see. It's okay. So it was Mass Effect 3,
Okay.
and I guess I'll just say what my other one was gonna be like after I explain.
Well, I mean,
Mass Effect 3,
you can
but,
change the
like,
list if you want. I was just messing with you.
It's just like Mass Effect's just a good freaking trilogy, you know.
It really
and,
is.
And Mass Effect 3 was really the only game that I legit bawled like for a good 15 minutes. Like, okay, spoilers. You have 5 seconds because spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fucking Morden.
No, don't do that to me.
God.
I lost my mind and I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And then it happened. I was like, I'm not okay.
That whole
On the
part
controller.
on Tuchanka, I can't. It's a whole lot of crying.
Yeah, and like, but the thing is, like, in 2, I hated him.
Mm.
I had like no ties to him. I was not emotionally invested. I was like, I never chose him for anything. I was like, I didn't care.
Mhm.
But by the time like, you go through 3 and you're finally not acknowledging, but you're actually like preparing for this threat and everything, and you're getting everybody together. And I just like absolutely loved him, and then they took that from me.
Took it away.
And I was so upset. I just had to cry. Like I was emotionally distraught. I was like, that was really good.
Yeah.
Like the payoff for that was really freaking good.
It really was.
Yeah, so that's my fourth. My optional fourth was Bloodborne.
Okay.
Nice. I remember
I-
those streams. They were
I
hilarious.
hate that game.
Yeah.
I hate that game. But
I hate it, but it's a top 5 for me.
but I do respect the care and the detail and the way that it's told, the story is told. So I found it very fascinating. Like I had to watch a couple of YouTube videos where I'm like, what the hell is even going on? And then it made sense. Like because this is the first From game that I ever played, and I didn't really understand what it is that I was trying to get myself into, but then someone explained it to me. I'm like, oh, that's freaking clever. So yeah, it was Bloodborne. I wanted to snap that CD and like that disc in half. I was so angry all the time.
Oh man.
Ooh, sodium galore.
Made great
Really
stream
hurt
content
me.
though.
Oh my god, I was so freaking
Okay.
angry.
All right. And we're up to Chloe now. What do you got for number 4?
For number 4, I have a new entry. It's Hades. I
Oh.
adored that game that came out. I already like love Greek mythology, so that's already a win for that in that aspect. And then it's just you can keep playing it forever. Like you can roll credits, but then you can keep playing it. There's so much replayability and so much you can do, things to unlock. There's more story even after you finish the, I guess, base story. I love it.
Yep. I just started playing it myself. I've had it for forever and finally started it. It's already
Nice.
awesome.
It's oh man, the music rules too. It's great.
Warburg, every time you play, do you feel like you need to go do push-ups after you play the game? You
Oh,
just-
not
you
quite
know,
that.
it's- it's-
No. No, not quite. These arms weren't made for push-ups, but yeah, every time you drop in and start a new run, that music change is awesome, and you're like, all right, let's
Mhm.
fucking go.
I'm in.
It's a great game. All right, so since it's snake order, Chloe, we're right back to you.
Cool.
We're already into the
So-
top 3.
Perfect. going right back to what we just talked about, Mass Effect 3 is my number 3.
Oh, okay.
Knew it. Knew
Just
it.
every time I play it again, play through the trilogy, I just cry more and more at 3 and the ending of it. I can't emotionally handle it, but I love it so much.
Nice. So, like earlier this year, we did we ranked our Mass Effect characters list, and I asked
Mhm.
Crofteria this question: like, how do you guys normally play? Do you go femshep, broshep, or like, and who's your main person? I think I already kind of know the answer, but for the audience,
That'd be Femshep and then Garrus, Shikarian forever.
yeah. I mean, it's right behind Jackie, so I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do you one even better. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
I will do
She's got
you
a
one
shirt.
even
Oh,
better.
does she have the body
Hold
pillow?
on 1 second.
Do you
Hold on.
have it?
Oh,
on
she has a body
lock?
pillow.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
I should buy that.
That was a good one, Nathan. That was a good one. Sounds like these games have had a massive effects on all of you. Great series of games.
It really is. I had a hard time picking which Mass Effect game was going to be on my list, but I had to go with 3, I think.
Yeah,
the
like
end.
yeah. Now that I've recently replayed them, I really do think 3 is all around the better game.
Oh,
Right?
Uh,
Oh, we're back. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. You got Soft Boy Garrus, and then you got like it's time to go Garrus.
Garrus.
I have so many questions. So many.
What?
No, I'm
What?
kidding. I'm
They
kidding.
said we made a thing, and I was like, say less.
You want to buy the thing?
And there you go. It's
So,
my boy.
like, when
my
you have a
husband.
bad Jackie, when you have a bad day, do you just go and look at him and go, and just tell him how your day went?
It's more like, why aren't you real?
Yeah.
I'm just like disappointed that he's not real. But yeah, no, I'll like talk about my day and Ben's. What's he gonna say? Sorry, I'm calibrating.
Yeah, can I wait for a
Yeah.
bit? I'm in the
I can't
middle of
even
some
say that.
calibration.
Middle of calibrations.
Just get a button that does that on stream.
There you go.
All right. So we are up to Jackie's number 3.
My number three. What was my number 3? Going back and talking about good soundtracks and everything, Chrono Trigger.
I wondered when that would show up.
Yeah, JRPGs. So it's I mean, anyone who's played it understands. I mean, it's got great characters. The world building is awesome. I usually don't like time travel type of stories, but this just like every story that was told was just so told incredibly well. And on top of that, there's a lot of replay value. Because at the time, I felt like Chrono Trigger was very much ahead of its time. Like the fact that it had multiple endings. If no one has done that, you probably should. I highly recommend it. And the fact that you could actually complete the game without the main character was pretty unique in its own way. And yeah, it's just one of the first JRPGs that I played, and I don't know, I just fell in love. But I will say the one thing that I love the most is the soundtrack. Like it's just it's so good. It's so good. My stream notifications are all Chrono Trigger related too. So I don't know. Yeah.
It's a big part of the experience is that like
Love it.
the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Morally Flexible Gaming, for the 80 bits. And also thanks to everyone for the follows.
Thank
I can't
you.
hear the alerts, but the stream can. So hopefully you're enjoying the supernatural alerts.
Nice.
So we're up to Fusion.
Number 3. Number 3 with a smile. I'm gonna go very way back. Super Mario Brothers 3.
Really?
Yes.
Sorry, that was
Yes. Okay, so I gotta.
Now he's
so
gotta
I don't
defend
know-
himself.
I no, I don't.
No,
have to
no.
defend
It's just like I'm just surprised.
No,
It's
I
like, you
love
like
that
what you
game.
like. You do you.
I loved that game, and the great thing about this was I think it was maybe a few years later after the game had come out. I had found that there were a lot of like Easter eggs in the game. Like, if you collect so many coins, in specific worlds you open up that ship, right? Okay, had learned about that. Of course, for me as a little kid, the wizard had just, that was the platform where the game was introduced, and you learned about, they basically gave it away in the movie before you even played the game, that there is the warp whistle and how to get a fucking warp whistle. So of course, as soon as all of us bought the game, the first thing we did was try to get the warp whistle. Like, let's not even try to play through the entire map. Let's just get the warp whistle, because we saw it on the wizard. But I don't know why, but I love that game, and my wife loves that game. My wife is not a gamer at all. She doesn't play video games, but if I fire up the Nintendo and the NES and have Super Mario Brothers 3 playing, she'll jump on it. She can play it. She's not bad. Now, she's not great like me, but she's not bad at it. So yeah, it's there. I had to throw in some nostalgia here, guys, and I look at my list. There's a little bit more in there too, but man, I loved that game. I know a lot of people didn't like that game; they were very disappointed. But it was much better than Mario Brothers 2, which was
That's what I was thinking. Yes. Oh
Doki
my god,
Doki
that game killed me. Oh my
Doki
god.
Doki Panic. Is that what it was? Doki Doki Panic. Is that the original Japanese game that it was
I
based
don't
off
even
of?
remember. I
Yeah.
just
Okay.
remember that stupid dinosaur that spat the eggs at you, and I'm like, what is this? This doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. I
The
don't understand.
androgynous Ego Wart was the main boss, and it was they basically they had an for the people out there that don't know this, they were going to do a Super Mario Brothers 2 that was based off of the original Super Mario Brothers on NES, same type of style platformer, right? And they just hated it, and they wanted to try something fresh, and they were running out of time, so they grabbed I think it's Doki Doki Panic is the name of the game. That's why it's so different from the first one and the third one. But they ended up putting in elements from Doki Doki Panic into it. But I think that's the name of
Got
the game.
you.
Yeah. But that's why when you played Mario Brothers 2, it was like, what the hell is this? Like, what is like who these creatures don't make sense, and what's with all the turnips, yeah. Super Mario Brothers 3 is a classic for me.
All right. So for me, I'm also reaching back a little bit into my early days of gaming for my number 3, and that is Crash Bandicoot Warped, which was the third Crash Bandicoot game and the first one I played. That I believe it was that year I got a PlayStation, but I got NASCAR 99 before I got the PlayStation, so I knew I was getting one. And then one of the first games I got for my birthday was Crash Bandicoot, along with Spyro 2. It was like a toss-up between which of those two PlayStation classics do I go with, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, or Crash Bandicoot Warped. Went with Warped because it was actually the game I got my sister into video gaming too. Both of us, like, it taught us like the mechanics of like platforming, secret levels, like time trials, all that stuff. And we would constantly compete with each other for like who could get the furthest percent, because I think you could do up to 125% on a save file. And there was like 6 secret levels plus like a few more that were hidden within levels that you had to get to. And it was just a blast of a game. And when I got the Insane Trilogy, I bought that both on PlayStation for me because I had a PS4 at the time, and I bought it for my sister on because she had my old Xbox, so she could now actually play the remastered versions of all those games. And I would definitely say that's the game, not the first game I ever played. That would be Star Trek Starfleet Academy. My dad taught me how to play. I was like 6. This would be the game that made me go, oh, I love gaming. And it would just continue to be a lifelong thing from there. So I had to have it somewhere on the list. So, yeah. So back to me. My number 2. My newest game on the list by far. And this is something that the sequel trailer dropped today. And that is 2018's God of War. It is, without a doubt, maybe the technically best game I've ever played. Storytelling's amazing. Soundtrack's amazing. The world's amazing. The gameplay, there's like 3 different melee trees you can do. There's a crafting system that's like not too big, but is still engaging and interesting and gives you cool, status effects and stuff. And is also like the perfect streamlined, like what a third, like 3D Metroidvania can be. Is like the perfect version of that. Because like a streamlined, nothing too insane to get through. It's not a 100-hour game. It's just we're going to do a 30-40 hour game, if that, plus a nice new game plus menu, and you're going to get a dope, heartfelt, amazing story, and then a sequel later on. It was one of the best games I've ever played. Can't wait for Ragnarok. It's going to be so good.
High praise. Yeah, my Twitter feed was just blowing up. It's
Oh, yeah.
they made an announcement.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah, we were talking in Discord about, I think it was the Spider-Man and Wolverine stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was
Yeah.
talking with Jordan. I was like, stop. It's God of War time. And we just ended up watching that. It was such a great trailer. All right, so back to Fusion. For your
Back to
number two.
me. I think this is the first. What is this? The first repeat? No, because Mass Effect 3 is a repeat.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3 was a repeat. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go with WARTburg. It's at 2 for me though. I love this game. Fallout 3. Fallout 3, man. It's an absolute classic for me. Great replay value, great story. I think the great thing I loved about it the most was the character of Three Dog, who was the DJ that you were listening to through half the game. You end up having a storyline involving Three Dog, and it's just and he was so popular that they tried to bring him back in New Vegas. They've tried to sneak him into into other games. But what I liked the most about Fallout 3, they tried to do that again in New Vegas, and I think they failed from a mechanic standpoint. But the story in New Vegas is great. But for me, like in Fallout 4, it was just a really fun game. But I keep thinking back because I played the first two Fallouts, which were very different. Very different. Just like Grand Theft Auto 3 was very different than the first two Grand Theft Autos, and it was over the top, kind of a weird scrolling game. Yeah, man, I just loved. It brought me into the lore even more. I have a closet full of like Fallout stuff. I have a Pip Boy in there, a bunch of T-shirts, a Vault-Tec jacket that I very rarely wear. I mean, I loved it. It made me love the IP a lot, and so I look forward to even more more games. And I wish we would have gotten a really good MMO out of Fallout 76, but it just they couldn't get it right.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Fallout 3.
I'm still holding out hope we get a 3 in New Vegas tandem remake or release remaster.
That'd be
At
great.
some point, they got to, right?
Yeah.
Like it's right there. At some point, they have to do it. But
Calling out hope.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of trouble with New Vegas because they were pushing really hard the tech that was
it's not a very stable game even now.
No. So yeah, Fallout 3, man, will always be a classic. I play Fallout 4 from time to time, but Fallout 3 is one I can always pick up and just have a blast on my computer.
Jackie, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Suikoden 2.
Okay, how do I spell
that? Suikoden. So it is a little bit of franchise, but out of all the games that are currently available, because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, tactics. I can't do tactics games. I did Final Fantasy Tactics, and I was okay with that. But I was like, man, if you die, that's like 30 minutes of your life for one fight. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. But no, Suikoden 2, really good storytelling. There's this whole system in the Suikoden series where you have 108 characters, and you can recruit them throughout the story, and they either can be part of your party, or they're just part of like your base or your castle or whatever, and you just fall in love with all of them. And it is one of those games where I just kind of like picked up when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. It was like $20, and now like I still have my physical copy of it, and it's discontinued now, and it's become incredibly valuable over time. And I was like, I'm never giving this up. This will die with me. Like I'm gonna be buried with this because I love this game so much. But it was one of those games where like I was emotionally invested in a lot of characters. I cried. It is one of those stories where there can be a different outcome depending on some of your decisions. It's not like too heavy in that type of narrative. But it did make me want to play it over and over again. There's one character, oh my god, he's a timed character. So you try to get like 108 of these characters, right? And there's one where if you don't get to him within like 20 hours or something, he's just gone forever.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I got so angry. Oh no, why is my camera frozen? Am I frozen?
Every now and then it has been. Usually it pops back though.
No.
This time it might be frozen.
I'm coming back, I swear.
Okay. Good, because when you leave, it moves me, and then I'm out of
Oh
frame.
no.
No.
Uh-oh.
You may have to disconnect it and pop it back in. It could have just maybe got overheated too.
Sorry. Oh, well, at least it's not too much of a derpy face, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, you're mid conversation. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It'll work.
So,
it works.
okay. Well, go ahead to the next person and BRB.
Okay. All right. Up next is Chloe, and hang on, let me switch to the 3 cam. Nope, 3 cam's broken.
No.
Uh-oh.
We may just have to leave it up. It probably got overheated, so it's just like stuck.
Really?
Shame.
He's not gonna let that happen.
I'm Wartburg, I'm just gonna fuck with your stream right now.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I'm so sorry.
Be sure you keep her. Make sure she's not muted because she's probably gonna try to dip it into like a glass of water or something at this point. Cool it down.
There
Or
you
whatever
go.
she can at this point.
Hang
Oh
on.
my
Let me just
God,
reframe it up a
why?
little bit. Chloe, I believe we're up to you though for your number 2.
Yes. Okay, my number 2, I briefly talked about it before and then stopped myself because I figured I'd talk about it later, is Uncharted 4.
Okay.
So that remaster, I'm very happy about. It's a wonderful, I think, send-off for Nathan Drake. I love the ending of it, and I'll just be super on brand. The villain is also very hot, so
It is
I
what
have
it
to
is,
ask.
you know?
I have
It's
to
a
ask.
hot villain.
Tom
Yeah.
Holland as Nathan Drake. How are you feeling about
I'm
this?
not the biggest fan of that, and I definitely don't like Mark Wahlberg as
Yeah,
Sully.
that is
I feel
certainly
like
a choice.
that is
Right?
a choice. Like Tom Holland, I could maybe deal with especially if they're doing like a younger Nathan Drake, but like I think Mark Wahlberg is a horrible miscast. I'm not looking forward to that movie.
Yeah, I agree. But
Yeah.
at least the game was good.
Yeah,
Game is great.
great
Yeah.
game.
And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to actually, like, now that I got my setup back out, I have a PS4 Slim, so it doesn't have a digital optical. So it
Mhm.
makes streaming a real pain in the ass to get to my
Mhm.
wireless headset. But I found a splitter that I think I can make work for the HDMI, and I'm excited to actually play that for the first time now.
It'd be nice. I'm excited for you to experience it for the
Yeah,
first
should be a
time.
good time. Well, Jackie might be back. Maybe? Okay,
There she
Yes,
is.
this-
All right.
time
I
to
fixed it.
reframe. And since we're doing the snake order and Chloe just did her number 2, it's time for Chloe's
Yes.
favorite game of all time.
This was
No
a
pressure here. No
hard
pressure.
choice. No pressure. Portal 2 though. I think I put
Oh.
the
Wow,
most
okay.
hours into that. I replayed that so many times. I know it like the back of my hand. I want to say I remember playing it all the time, like growing up too, and I adore it. Love puzzle games too. So
I'm horrible with puzzles, but
Oh.
I unfortunately I can't play it because I get motion sick like
okay.
very quickly. But everyone is just like, just listen to the story. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just listen to the story. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, motion sickness will definitely put you off of that. There's a lot of flying through the air upside down and all that.
Yeah.
That's a shame, but yeah, that would be my number 1.
Nice.
See, stuff like that where I didn't see that coming is why I wanted like a Chloe on
Right?
this
Like,
list.
I mean, it's a great game, and that's a great choice. I didn't realize.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
I would
yeah.
like me. I've never actually finished playing Portal 2, so
Okay.
you know. So Jackie,
Well, now she's not going to be friends with you ever.
Right?
How
You know,
dare you not play
you
Portal
know,
2?
all right,
Chloe
fair
has
enough.
dropped the call.
All right, Jackie, it's time for your favorite game. What do you got?
This is not going to surprise anybody.
Oh man.
Like at all. Final Fantasy VI.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Yup. Final Fantasy VI. I was so enamored by that story, and no joke, when I was in, oh my god, I'm gonna age myself, but when I was in grade school and I didn't like the ending, so I decided to write fan fiction. But I decided to write my own ending, and I was like, I went over to my teacher, like, can you read this and tell me if it's good? Because I wasn't satisfied. So like I wrote like I wrote like a novelization version of it up until like you really get to the ending, and then I just rewrote the ending to how I wanted it to be. And I was like in 5th grade or some crazy thing like that. But yeah, no, it made me really just love RPGs in general. Because yeah, I started with the NES, but there wasn't a lot of games that were like very heavily into narrative. And so when SNES came out, by the way, how do y'all say the acronym for the Super Nintendo? I had this conversation with somebody.
I say SNES.
I would do that the same.
Yeah,
Not
SNES.
SNES.
SNES is fun to say, but
Is
no.
this like a GIF
I
GIF
have
thing?
no idea when that started, but
That's
there is
no, that's a
a
recent thing.
generation that says SNES, and I'm like, what did you just say to me?
Yep.
Soon tight.
I was like, oh my god. But
Yeah,
I didn't I didn't have a Super Nintendo growing up. Like we couldn't afford a lot of consoles or anything like that. So I would go over to my cousins and we would play all the games over there, and it just became one of those games that I was obsessed with when I was a kid. And I loved all the characters. They made you care about all the characters, and it was actually it had one of the darkest moments in gaming for me. I don't know if y'all played it, but there is a scene that, depending on how you played, like a couple of scenes before it leading up to this point, I want to say that there's a potential trigger warning here for some what's what I want to say? Oh, there's a trigger warning. So just like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One of the characters, if you make certain decisions, she tries to kill herself. Like she'll actually just jump off of a cliff, and she survives. But that was the mindset of this particular character that you fell in love with over time. And I was just like, this is a video game. I thought it was supposed to be like all nice and fun and lovey-dovey and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I think I like storytelling. So that really stayed with me. Yeah, I was like in 5th grade. So the fact that it impacted me so heavily like that, it just stayed with me forever. Will stay with me forever.
That's what games are all about. So Fusion.
Yep.
Your last one. What do you got?
Speaking of showing their age here, I have to show mine, of course. And if I don't, Wartburg likes to remind me from time to time. The number one, and it's for the SNES. It's not the SNES. And Jackie, that's actually a very recent thing. That's a recent thing, like in the last.
It had to have been because when did that happen?
I think what happened was we all just kind of said, okay, it's the SNES. And when the SNES Classic came out, I heard people saying, "Oh, the SNES." The hell is the SNES?
Oh, that might have been.
I
That
think
could have
that's when
been.
it kind of like this,
Yeah.
that generation was like, oh, they just started calling it SNES. I'm like, no, well, you called the first console the NES. I'm like, yeah, that's because it's the fucking NES. It's the NES. Like, this isn't the SNES. No.
We really are getting
You're breaking my
into
brain.
GIF territory here.
Don't even get me started on that shit.
Hey, Roy Kent says GIF. So if Roy Kent says GIF, that's the answer. Watch Ted Lasso.
Breaking my brain.
Roy Kent's probably the best TV character of the past decade, but he does tend to be wrong sometimes, Wartburg, and that's one of those instances where he's fucking wrong.
I just wanted to get in to watch Ted Lasso, and now I got 2.
Number one game for me is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yes.
It's
my map.
Fucking love that game.
Map.
Like, I mean, just when I was 13 years old when that game came out, I had a Nintendo, and I, eventually had all the consoles. But growing up, not having a lot of money, we didn't get them right away. And I remember I would have to go to Blockbuster and rent the SNES system for a few days. And when I rented it, and if Link to the Past was there, that was my weekend. Like, get up, go play basketball or something when the sun's out, and then the rest of the day and the rest of the night until like 4 a.m, just Link to the Past. Love that game. I probably dug up so many holes with that shovel throughout the entire map. And Jackie knows what I'm talking about, because when you're a kid, you're like, just the sound, and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna start digging everywhere just to see what we find. Love the game. Great story. Shadowing 2 different worlds. Just when you think like you spend 10, 15 hours to finish what you think is the game, and only to find out that, hey, there's a whole other world that we're going to
Mhm.
put you through. It was just wonderful because I loved Legend of Zelda. It was, the first game for the NES was great, and then having the battery in there, being able to save, which is something groundbreaking for us. And then Zelda 2 was just really bad. It was a weird game. And you remember the play? I remember Jackie's playthrough a few years back, and she's just like,
I
what
think
am
I
I
rage
doing?"
quit.
Yeah, she did.
Like
I think
10 minutes in, I'm like, I can't do this. I couldn't do it when I was a kid. Can't
when
do
she
it
had to
now.
go to when she had to go to the Death Mountain to find the hammer, she's like, "Where the fuck am I going?" I'm like, "Go." Just you don't want a backseat. At that point, she's just like, "Just fucking tell me where it's at." Like, this is ridiculous.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
did not like Zelda 2. Link to the Past made it just brought back Legend of Zelda, like my love for the
Mhm.
story. And I know it got a remake recently, which I still haven't played that yet. I'm hoping we get
Link
a.
Between Worlds!
Yeah,
You haven't played it!
no, I have not played it.
Oh, I
I have not played
cried!
it. You have.
I I I cried. I beat it and then I was like, this is so beautiful. And I
Well,
just like
well, let me ask you. Let me ask you. I don't know how you feel about Breath of the Wild, but could you imagine Link to the Past with that art style, like with that graphic style? I mean,
I have feelings about Breath of the Wild.
no, 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 no. Look,
Oh, you're on the Gen train on that one.
the weapons decay is stupid, really dumb settings, and the combo moves get really old really fast. I'm sorry, but
There
I
are
mean,
not
just
many games where you can go 19 hours in and not hit a tutorial.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know you can fucking parry. For
But
like
what I mean is, you take the graphics of Breath of the
uh,
Wild and tell the Link to the Past story with those graphics, and
I would play that, but I would play it, as I know some people are gonna get angry for me if they're like, diehard Zelda fans, but I would play it with the story that was told with Link Between Worlds.
okay, okay.
You have to play it, and we're gonna talk
I'll
about
play.
this. We're gonna talk
Yes.
about it after you're done, because
See, well, hold on. You have something to hang over me now. For a long time, you hadn't watched the Winter Soldier, and
I still
so
haven't.
Yeah,
you
I
still
know.
haven't.
For
I,
real, that was the original plan. Me coming down vacation
yes.
was like, Jackie, we're gonna sit you down. We're gonna watch Captain America: First Avenger and then Winter Soldier, so the reveal can happen, and then you're gonna be caught up on like one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah, yeah. We that was the thing. We were gonna watch Shang-Chi in the theater, but then we were gonna barbecue and make you watch the Winter Soldier. That was like our plan. Was
Yeah,
we were
and
like
then
we were
it
gonna
didn't,
make you
couldn't
watch it.
happen. Thanks,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeehaw. But
Frustrating.
Link to the Past will always be my top game. Like it will be hard to knock it off just because I loved that game so much as a kid, and even without nostalgia today, I have, emulators on my computer. I'll just pop it on when I'm bored and just play it. I love that game. Absolutely love
You
it.
want me to teach you how to play randomizer?
I've watched so many of your randomizer streams. I get a little nervous just because I get frustrated from what I see, but I think I might want to try. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk
Yeah.
after
We'll
this.
talk after.
All right. I was wondering if that would pop up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last one. So chat, hopefully if you're still listening, have your lists ready. We'll be asking you here shortly what your guys' top fives are. So mine is a Halo game. Not maybe the one I'd say is the best of the franchise, but it's definitely my favorite, and that's Halo Reach. I think it's at like the top. Like, I mean, most people would probably say Halo 3, but Halo Reach is like maybe right below it. It was the game that made me buy an Xbox 360 and kind of got me. It was like, I'm gonna get back into gaming as a hobby on my own. Whereas like Fallout 3 and Mass Effect 2 like kind of opened up the world to me. Halo Reach was like, I'm getting in on this because it's a game that actually lived up to in a stellar marketing campaign. Like, you remember the Reach commercials? Like, just they're still awesome now to watch on YouTube, and the game lives up to that. The soundtrack's amazing, even though it's not like the classic, Marty O'Donnell, Halo, chanting monks kind of score. The Spartan 3s were really cool. I love how it fleshed out and tied into Halo CE with the kind of like post-credit scene with Cortana jumping them to the ring. The fact that the game lets you sit on the lone wolf like mission and you have to survive as long as you can, and that's the end of the game, thought was an incredibly cool way to end a experience like that. The multiplayer was the first time I'd ever really gotten into a multiplayer suite, and I played 28 cumulative days in college, and then I don't know, however much longer now it's on the Master Chief Collection. And it's not just the game itself for me for that one. And I actually probably wouldn't know anybody on this panel without that game, because that's what got me into Fails of the Week with Achievement Hunter. And then thus Rooster Teeth, and then going to RTX in person, getting on the forums and meeting Fusion, and then Jackie, and now Chloe. And so many of my friends in my life right now I wouldn't have if not for what that game opened up for me, just at large. So it absolutely had to be the number one on my list.
Oh.
So you're basically telling me that you're a nerd. Got it.
I mean,
I love you.
yes, I'm a huge nerd. I'm wearing a Dragon Age shirt. I'm a huge nerd.
Nice.
All right. So running through the lists. We'll go Chloe's first. We've got Apex Legends at 5, Hades at 4, Mass Effect 3 at 3, Uncharted 4 at 2, and Portal 2 at number 1. Jackie's was Jade Empire at number 5, Mass Effect 3 / maybe Bloodborne at number 4, Chrono Trigger at 3. How did you say the other one at 2?
Suikoden 2.
Suikoden 2. And then Final Fantasy 6. Fusion's was GTA Vice City at 5, Red Dead Redemption at 4, Super Mario Bros. 3 at number 3, Fallout 3 at 2, and Legends of Zelda Link to the Past at number 1. Mine was Mass Effect 2, Fallout 3, Crash Bandicoot Warped, God of War, the 2018, and Halo Reach. So anything jump out to anybody right away as like a shock? Like you did not expect this game to be on anybody's lists?
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Really? Okay. Okay. Like, I gotta know, what's your hatred of that game?
It's not even hatred.
Khaled,
Based off of what you said prior, I thought it'd be like more story based.
No, it was
Games,
just
like-
it was action. Just run that thing. Just run it fast. That was really it. I do want to bring up a couple of my honorable mentions, just because these were really. hard.
I was hoping people have their
Yeah.
lists there too.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
through my 4 real quick, guys. Metal Gear Solid, the PlayStation, the PSX version, loved that game. Parasite Eve, that I tinkered about that one being number 5 instead of GTA Vice City, because a lot of people don't give that game love. That was a great
It's a
game.
good game.
It's a good game. The
yeah.
story is like so different from what was out there at the time. And I loved that game. Skyrim. I mean, come on. I mean, I
Yeah.
played the shit out of
Yeah.
Skyrim, and I
Yeah.
shamelessly I make fun of everybody owning every single version of it, and I'm one of those people. So, other one, Bioshock Infinite. Love that game.
Of all
Oh.
Bioshocks, you're going with
Oh.
Infinite.
Yes,
Ooh.
Bioshock Infinite, man. That was a great game.
All right. All right.
I have a
Yeah.
follow-up question for you, Fusion.
Okay, all right. What's up?
Do you know what take an arrow to the knee means?
I mean,
Is
if
that
you're
the
talking
like the real world lore?
like the lore behind, is there like a lore behind it?
Do you think when they say, "Oh, I was about to be an adventurer, but I took an arrow to the knee,"
Yeah.
do you think they actually mean it literally?
No. I think he's just like full of shit, just trying to get out of it. But I never really thought about that. It just the
Oh,
meme
so
took
he got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or if you're a fan
Got on
of
one knee proposing.
Gotcha.
one of my favorite memes when I was getting into Arrow was Stephen Amell would at panels like go and punch people in the knee, and then I took an
That's
arrow to the
right.
knee.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. That was always a good one for me. Jackie, what do you got for honorable mentions? And also, as Jaren says, this is our top 5, but a few more.
Hey. Oh, hey, Nat. Hey, Jared. Hi. It's not even really like one specific, but it's the entire franchise, and that'd be Resident Evil.
Oh yes.
I freaking love that franchise. Like 2, 3, nightmare inducing. I actually was not allowed to play it. Because of the time it came out, I was very, very much in a strict household. And she's like, "There's blood in this game. You can't play that." Couldn't play Mortal Kombat either, but it stuck with me. And then 4 came out, and I was like, I'm in love with everything in this game. I mean, hello, Leon. Welcome back into my life. And then 5 and 6 happened, and I thought it was kind of pulling more into action rather than horror. But then Biohazard happened, and I was like, holy crap. Scary games scare the crap out of me. jump scares, I start sweating, and y'all have seen, how I react to horror games and everything, but I love it so much. I love the horror genre, movies, games, anything like that. And I thought that what they're doing now with the franchise, coming back to its horror roots, is so good. So good. So I love seeing the evolution of Resident Evil over the years.
Okay, you got anything else for
honorable
your?
mention.
That it for yours?
Oh man, I could list so much.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Quite honestly, there's like so many games out there. I mean, crap. We got Secret of Mana.
Yes.
That was a huge one. Tales of Fantasia for me. Breath of Fire 3. I loaned that to my friend and I never got it back. I was so angry. But no, that was a really, really, really good RPG. Absolutely loved it. So there's just so much. I love gaming. There's something for everybody and so much to love out there. Ah, yeah.
Chloe, what do you got?
I've also got, let's see, Pokemon Platinum. Gen 4 is when I started with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Diamond was my first game, but Platinum is my favorite. It's so cool. Sayonara Wild Hearts. Love that game. Just a nice, short little story. Great music. It's very pretty to look at. And then the newest edition would be Final Fantasy XIV. That has gripped me, and I love it.
I was wondering when that one would show up.
I'm like, I should finish out the story before I try to put that in my top 5, but man, I love that game now.
So we may have to have an updated list from you in the future. What I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
14 will be on it.
Gotcha. Anything else to add?
That's all I got.
Okay. So I also have a Pokemon game. I started with Pokemon Red, and also right around the same time, I very quickly got into Silver and Gold. So it was like right back to back because I got into it kind of late. The Ezio trilogy, Assassin's Creed, freaking amazing. Doom 2016 is maybe like the best first-person shooter.
Gosh.
Like as a solo single campaign, it's so good. Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that's what got me into like modern RPG gaming beyond Fallout 3. Played those kind of back to back, so I had to pick Oblivion or Fallout 3. And I love the Fallout universe a little more, so I went with that one in the actual list. And then my first ever game, which hang on.
First ever
Video game. My dad bought it for our PC back when he was able to keep up with the PC because he used it for farming stuff, and then it very quickly got too expensive. And that is Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I still have the cadet training manual, which is the actual like instruction booklet. It was a 6-disc game. He bought a joystick for it and taught me like the mechanics of just like gaming itself. And then promptly, because he had to use a joystick because his right hand, his thumb is like only grew to the first joint and he doesn't really feel anything in it. So he can only use the one hand. So a joystick game is perfect. And that's what he taught me how to game on. And I ended up getting it for him and I installed Steam for him on his current PC. So that way he could go back and actually play it through the Good Old Games website. And he's loved it. And so I will always be keeping this manual. So that one had to be on the honorable mention list.
And I'm so jealous. My dad and my brother used to game quite a bit when we were younger, and he became obsessed with Dune. And he would play it till like 4 a.m. He's like, I gotta stop. Like, this isn't like I have to take care of my kids. You know what I mean?
Wait, are you talking about the Dune, the old Tandy game that was on the Tandy computer from Radio Shack?
Really, really old one.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, I love that game. Yeah.
And then my brother, funny story about my brother, he used to game with me like all the time when we were kids. And then Final Fantasy VII happened. And he was just like, I have raced and bred too many chocobos. I am wasting my life. I'm out. And cold turkey, no more gaming. Like, that was it. The chocobos of Final Fantasy VII stopped him from playing any more games. So it's just been me who's been carrying the torch, the gaming torch in the family.
My brother tried to he played games, Atari 2600, and then I got the NES, the NES when I was like 6 when it just came out. And then about a year later is when Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, 7, 8 years old. My brother is 9 years older than me, so he's a teenager. He could not, for some reason, he didn't figure, I let him play it. I was watching how he played the game, and he just would started. He would lose constantly when he played. I think the guy's name was Piston Honda was the boxer's name, the Japanese boxer, and he did not. He couldn't figure out how to stop him because he didn't know how to duck. He didn't know how to duck, and he
Kind of
couldn't figure it
important
out.
in boxing.
Yeah. Like he got so mad he was kicking the wall and he never played a video game ever again. So it's kind of funny you say that something broke your brother from gaming. My brother got broken by Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And after that I was the only gamer in the house.
Yep, same here. My sister did the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro 2 with me, but she quickly fell out of it. She's a couple years older than me, and she never was like really into it like I was. And then my younger brother, he loves Red Dead, and that's the only game I think he's ever played like to completion. Which I mean, hey, one game, you might as well have it be Red Dead Redemption. It's a phenomenal game. He hasn't even played Red Dead 2 yet, and I bought him a 1S just to play it because I knew he loved it, and he never played it. Like, what are you doing? Brothers, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love them.
Sometimes. All right, so chat. What do you guys got for your lists? I'm excited to see what you guys might have. Maybe is wildly different from us. Please let us know. Anything else you guys want to wrap up with on though before we do our outro with? Anything we want to hit up on? Sounds like a no.
No.
Okay.
Video games are cool.
They are indeed.
Video games are great.
Yeah, they're
We're gonna
great.
I think you mentioned this, Warburg. Number one has a nostalgic feel for you, right? Not only your
Reach,
Halo,
yeah.
Reach. Not only is it just a great game, is it fun, but it has this personal story that you tell about it, and I think that's the one thing about video games. Like I look back and being older in my 40s now, and I think about like the 8-bit revolution that I went through as a kid. Those nights playing those games was just some of the best memories I had with my friends. And then as I got into junior high and high school with the Genesis and the SNES, those games were more personal for me because a lot of those games were very time consuming. And when you're an angry teenager like I was kind of torn. I was a guy that was kind of torn because I was part of that whole jock culture going into high school from junior high, and it really wasn't my personality. And of course, in the 90s, that was a real big thing where you had your cliques. That was so big. But in the high school I went to, like I really wasn't in a clique, and the PlayStation came out, and it was great because you had kind of like the geeks, the jocks, and all. We had these cliques, and I just was friends with everybody, and my friends would come and hang out, and it'd be interesting when I really think about it back, because how awkward were these people? Like I have a friend that's a football player, and I have a friend here who's a metalhead, and they're here on a Friday night playing the first Resident Evil with me at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're shitting their pants because when you played that first Resident Evil, and Jackie knows this, if you have stereo sound late at night, it's freaky because you hear like noises in the background with stereo sound that really throws you off in that game because it's so quiet, but in the very background you can hear something really happening, and you're like wondering what the hell's coming what the hell's coming next. But like it just kind of pulls you together. And just like you, the memories, Halo was big for me because it did lead me to the RT community in my early 20s. And I just seeing how that developed into a show, and how things like just the innovation of internet content from there is just great to see through my 20s into my 30s. So I have memories, just like that's a great thing. I think about these games, we have memories that are tied to them. The ones that we love, the games that we really love, have these memories that are just, they lock us in, and we can always just think back to something or a feeling or an event or something, just a point in our life with games we've played. Kind of like music.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good note to end on, I think. So, chat, we're going to go back to your list in just a second. We're going to do our outro here. So thanks, everyone, for watching or listening or checking out the stream here for WAFER number 25 for our 1-year anniversary show. And, of course, a huge thank you to our two guests, Jackie and Chloe.
Thank you both.
And Garrus.
Well, of course,
Garrus.
and Garrus.
Garrus.
I mean, come on. He's Garrus Vicarian. He's everyone's favorite Turian. And if he's not your favorite Turian, you're not my favorite person. Get out of here. All right. So that's it for this episode. We're going to be back actually next week, since we're going to, instead of doing the every 2 weeks, because one of Fusion's most anticipated shows ever is coming out, and that's Why the Last Man. So we got to talk about it, him and me. So I'm very excited about that. Our Twitter handles are on the screen. I am at MrWartburg. He is at It's Mr. Fusion. And of course, Chloe is now with a new Twitter handle at EchoClocation, which, by the way, as a backup Twitter handle, is fucking genius.
Thank you.
And of course,
Brilliant.
Jackie, as always, is at GeekyFriedRice. So be sure to follow everyone there. Chloe streams Final Fantasy, at least for now, pretty consistently, and those are always great streams. And of course, you can check us out and get updates for when we all individually go live on our social media platforms of choice. So that's it. See you guys next time. All right.
Bye.